The next guest is going to be from, he's a Seltzer man. He's a Brooklyn Seltzer man. I had a story in the New York Times a few days ago about a passing of the torch of sorts between the oldest Seltzer man in Brooklyn to the youngest Seltzer man in Brooklyn. The oldest Seltzer man, the senior Seltzer man in Brooklyn, is Eli Miller, 84 years old. He's been delivering Seltzer since 1960 in the borough. And Eli's customers were like his family. He knew these people. They'd invite him into dinner. He'd bring their seltzer in big crates, big old bottles, and it was like the old school seltzer that you get in New York City. And Eli finally, he was kind of forced to retire. I mean, this is not a young man's game. These are 70-pound cases of high pressurized carbonated water. And you got to, jack the thing up to your shoulder. And if you're delivering to walk-ups especially, you're going up flights of stairs. So at 84 years old, Eli Miller, he just couldn't do it anymore physically, and he hated to retire because, like I said, he wanted to keep his customers in the bubbly stuff that he would pick up every day from Gomberg Seltzer Works in Canarsie, Brooklyn. It's the last seltzer factory in New York. You go in there with your empty seltzer bottles. These are big, heavy, inch-thick glass bottles with metal siphons on the top. And you go in, and Kenny Gomberg, or whoever's working with him or for him, will stick these things on a century-old machine on a big wheel, and it's going to pump seltzer into these bottles. And then a guy like Eli Miller would deliver them to his faithful. So Eli had to retire, and he decided to leave his customers to a young fella, 29 years old, Alex Gomberg. He's a fourth-generation seltzer man from this Gomberg family. His great-grandfather founded Gomberg Seltzer Works in Canarsie decades ago. And now Alex is kind of carrying on the family tradition by delivering seltzer in Brooklyn. And now his clients would be a little bit different than Eli's by and large. Eli's had a lot of the old guard, old school people. And Alex, of course, has a niche in a lot of these, restaurants, upscale and trendy restaurants. They want the real thing. They want Brooklyn seltzer. So he also delivers to a lot of those people. So he's on the line with us now. Alex, thanks for coming on.
Thanks for having me. How you doing?
Good. Yeah. I wanted to have Eli on, and he was willing and able, but he has a doctor's appointment, so he couldn't. I said, Eli, there's things like cell phones in waiting rooms and stuff. Like, no, I have to make sure this is a new doctor. So he wouldn't come on, But I'm, that's not why I asked you. I was going to have both you guys on. I wanted to have the young and the old, But I'm glad you came on and to talk a little bit about this business of yours, which was really a family business. And I know that you went to college, you got your master's, and you were kind of heading in another direction career-wise when at some point you decided, you know what, I'm going back into the family business. And I think your dad, Kenny, is kind of glad, that you did because, now the family's still in seltzer. And now you have two children, and then who knows what they'll do. I mean, maybe you want them to be doctors and lawyers, but, you decided, a few years ago, 5 years ago, that you were going to go back into the family business and deliver seltzer in Brooklyn, huh?
Yeah, I mean, well, I definitely don't want my baby girl lifting these heavy cases of seltzer, but maybe Aiden one day. But it's a lot of work. I mean, I definitely went to school for sport management, higher education. I was headed in a different direction, but when I graduated, I saw an opportunity in this business, and my dad and my uncle have held on to it for a long time after my grandfather and great grandfather, and we didn't want to see it go. They were talking about getting into the business for years, or back into the delivery business for years, but they just didn't have the time to do it. So that's kind of where I came in and, wanted to bring it towards a new market, which is these bars and restaurants that you're talking about.
Right. I mean, just to put it into context for listeners, I mean, the business that they were doing in the past couple decades was, the seltzer factory. Now they have a distributorship at the place too. They do soda, soft drinks, and that type of thing, like you would see with, forklift bringing out cases of soda and that thing. But over on the side is another room where you walk in and it's like you walk back in time. It's a seltzer factory. I'm blown away when I walk in there. I mean, these old machines, pumping a seltzer into bottles. And for people who aren't as familiar as the older guard with seltzer, and a 2-cent plain, would be a glass of seltzer and an egg cream. You'd make it with You Bet syrup made in Brooklyn and that type of thing. It was just like a way of life in old Brooklyn. You had hundreds of seltzer men delivering seltzer the way milkman would deliver milk, ice man would deliver ice, And that has dwindled, I guess, now. Now there's about a handful, maybe 5 or 6 guys who do it anymore, right? In the whole city.
Well, even less than that. I mean,
4 or 5, maybe, right?
Yeah, there's about 4 guys left, and we're not looking to take over their territories. Obviously, we're happy to pass along.
I mean, you got plenty of customers, right, in your route.
Yeah, we have a good amount. We've taken over a couple routes already. One being Eli's, another guy Tom who delivered up in Rockland County and in New Jersey. So we took that one over. Unfortunately, he passed away. Steve Levine. So these Seltzer men, we're getting out of the business. We're looking to grow a business. So we're trying to tackle all these areas that no Seltzermen are ever going to go to again.
Right.
So we're sticking around.
Yeah. And what's it like to talk about the work? I mean, you fill up. You have the family. I mean, you're at the family place in the morning filling up, right? And then you deliver mostly over the borough. You go into Manhattan, right, and probably some other boroughs, but you concentrate.
Oh yeah.
Brooklyn,
I mean, it's tough. It's definitely a tough job. The cases are close to 70 pounds a case.
And these are 10 heavy bottles of seltzer, right? I mean,
very heavy. They're most of the bottles were hand blown in Czechoslovakia. They're very, very thick glass, and we still have them in the wooden cases. My father actually was a carpenter. He actually builds us new cases. So those rickety ones we're trying to go away from. We don't want any injuries or anything, but the cases we still deliver up a couple flights of stairs. It's heavy stuff. Yeah. It's a lot of work.
Right.
And trying to keep it going.
Yeah. Now, I mean, these are like 100-year-old bottles. I mean, there's not that many businesses where people kind of like the older the better kind of thing. Like people don't. I mean, I think part of it's out of necessity, right? I mean, your father, when he was showing me the factory, was saying that when they're blowing seltzer into these bottles, we're talking about 100 pounds, I guess, per square inch of pressure.
I think
right?
60 pounds. 60. Well,
he says there's an initial charge of more than that, and then it backs off to 60. He said that's one reason these old bottles are so strong. I mean, I wonder, it almost wouldn't be feasible to make these things today, I can imagine, I mean, they're probably made so well and thick and quality stuff, right?
Right. I mean, there are original bottles that we use, and what's really cool about these bottles, and yes, they definitely hold the pressure, they're all history. They're all a piece of history. They all represent an old Seltzermen's business. They're all etched with different logos from, these different Seltzermen had, Eli's beverages, and that would be imprinted onto the glass bottle. Yeah. And we don't put any labels or logos. We put it on the box. We put Brooklyn Seltzer Boys on the box.
Right, but you go with the assortment of original bottles. I mean, wherever they be from, right?
They're all from different places. And when you get
these
a delivery
people are
to your
drinking
house,
history, man.
Right, you're drinking history. You get a delivery to your house, and you're getting 10 different bottles from different Seltzermen, all different shades and colors, blues and greens and clear bottles. It's pretty cool.
Yeah. What is your slogan? What's your company slogan?
Well, my dad says good seltzer should hurt.
What does
on the back
that mean?
Of our shirts.
Yeah,
right.
What does that mean?
Well, when you drink seltzer, you shouldn't be able to gulp it down. You shouldn't be able to drink the whole glass in one shot. It should hurt the back of your throat. You should feel that bite, that tingly sensation. That's real bubbles. That's real carbonation. Yeah. And that's because we have such extreme power in our seltzer bottles. It's not like the plastic bottles.
I mean, can I get that in the store?
I mean, I don't drink it.
Come on, man.
I don't
be real,
drink the
be real with us
stuff,
now.
so I can't say.
Okay.
But,
you're going to plead the fifth here. No, but you know what it's like when you get it in the store, as Eli would call it, that dreck. You get it and it has the fizz for a few days. Maybe you got to keep it tight in the fridge. And that's what I buy. Whatever, 79 cents, $1.29, whatever it is. I'm a cheapskate. I don't go for the $40 case.
Well, it's economical.
Yeah, I mean, I got Walter Backman on my block. I don't even buy the stuff because I want to buy the dollar seltzer. But you know what? You suffer because after a couple days, it's bad tasting water.
Right. Well, ours is even it's different. It's a different product. I say. I mean, if you're looking at price, there's no comparison. Go to the store and get seltzer. Put a Soda Stream or tap in your house. But if you really appreciate good seltzer and you really want a good product, ours is New York City tap water. We triple filter.
Is that a good thing, though?
It's great. New York City tap water is awesome as it is.
It is.
But then on top of that, we have a triple filtration system. So we filter it through sand, charcoal, and paper, which takes out any odors, tastes, microsolids. It's even cleaner and crisper, and then it's mixed with CO2. There's no salt. There's no additives, chemicals, flavoring. It's just plain. Anything you want to add into it after, if you want to put a lemon or something, you put in after the fact. All of our seltzer is just plain, clean, crisp, carbonated seltzer.
Right. The whole thing with tap water, the reason I ask is because they used to see these articles in the paper that, we're going to do a taste test, the New York versus wherever. And they always say the New York City tap water is great water coming straight down from the mountains, and that kind of thing. And, and one of the reasons they always say, oh, why do our bagels taste so good? Our pizza, well, it's made with New York water. So, New York, used to have all this kind of rap with cleanliness and everything else, or maybe swimmability of the water in our waterways. But the drinking water, I guess does hold up, right? It has a good reputation.
That's what I hear. I hear companies down in Florida that ship water, New York water down to Florida or even, New Jersey, whatever, because of the water's better. And they call it New York bagels or New York pizza or whatever they call it down in Florida. And they say that's where we get the water. So
right.
It's obviously working. So
yeah, I mean, with the do people like? I mean, obviously these people are hanging on. People like the seltzer, right? I mean, how long does it stay bubbly for?
Well, it should really not lose its carbonation for a very long time. Our minimum order is once a month. We don't allow our customers to keep bottles for longer than a month. We circulate them. We want the bottles moving, but they'll be carbonated way longer than a month. I mean, I've actually bought bottles from people who had bottles in their basements. They say they've been there for years. They're not working. I spritz the nozzle and it still has pressure. I mean,
wow. After
it
years,
holds, they definitely
you could get carbonation.
Huh. What's that?
Carbonation after years?
I don't know about years, maybe months or
still
maybe
amazing.
a year. It's possible,
right?
But it definitely does hold, inside these bottles longer than, a plastic bottle of seltzer, say.
I mean, part of this is a changing Brooklyn, right? I mean, some of Eli's customers are these old school people. I've gotten it for years, But then some of your, I'm sure, customers are like these kind of newer restaurants and places, eateries, and maybe more gentrified areas that that want seltzer because they want, they're into local products. They want the old school Brooklyn thing. They want the real thing, right? I mean, so
right.
I mean, what is like new regard of seltzer customers like?
For us, I mean, people are discovering us every single day. I mean, just by launching a website, we got a whole, new generation of people that are on the computer that say, oh my God, this business is still around, which is really cool. So they're discovering us all the time. And, we're getting a lot of younger customers, which is cool because they'll be sticking around for a long time. And especially these bars and restaurants, those are the people that we go after. So I'll tell them about our product, introduce them to this concept of seltzer on the restaurant in the table inside a restaurant, and they'll say, oh, this is awesome. So these are new customers. These are people that are kind of being introduced or reintroduced to seltzer for the first time.
Yeah. Now, when you talk to, young people your generation, whatever it is, X, Y, Z, I don't know, whatever it is, and you tell them, these people have no clue. I mean, you tell them you deliver seltzer. I mean, do they know what it is? Do they know the tradition? Do you explain it to them? Do you bother? I mean, this is your family, and this goes back to at least the 50s or whatever, right?
Right. Well, my great-grandfather started in 1953.
Mo.
He started Gomberg Seltzer Works.
Right.
But when I introduce the seltzer to people who don't know about it, I have to say, the bottles that the clowns used to use, that they used to spray, that's
right.
And they say, oh, yeah, I know, like Larry, Moe, and Curly or something like that. Three Stooges. Yeah. So, it goes, I try to explain that this used to be a common thing in your home. You used to get milk delivered, you used to get seltzer delivered. And now it's not exactly a common, staple in people's homes. It's more of I wouldn't say novelty. It's more of a luxury item.
Yeah. Right. Huh. Now, so I mean, listen, you have your masters and everything. Let's say financially, are you glad you did this? I mean, do you do well with it? I mean, is it a viable business for you or what? Okay.
It will be. It will be, I hope.
Really?
I'm doing okay. I'm doing all right.
Yeah, that's great. Yeah.
I mean, I'm definitely not retiring for.
I mean, does it say something about the job market? Where was it the kind of thing like you couldn't get a job with your degree, or you just kind of came to a fork in the road kind of thing?
Well, I probably could have easily gotten a job up where I was in school in Massachusetts. A lot of colleges over there. But coming back home, I was getting married at the time and living in Rockland County. It wasn't exactly a convenient. There was not a lot of schools around there. I was studying higher education. Yeah. So it would have been a nice long commute for me. But this is still a long commute.
Oh, you
drive
commute
to
from
Brooklyn
Rockland
every day.
Yeah, but your day
So
is
that's
in
not
Brooklyn.
exactly
I
the
mean, your day
excuse.
you're grinding in Brooklyn. I mean, those two career choices were like night and day, man. I mean, these were two different lives. You were choosing between, right?
Well, there was no degree in Seltzer, so I had to do something else, I guess.
Seltzer. If there was, Eli had it, right?
Yes, Eli definitely had it, and I definitely went to the school of Eli Miller.
What could you learn from anything from a guy like that? You know,
absolutely.
Like what?
He was a mentor to me when I first started. I mean, he really taught me the business. All the other salesmen taught me the business. I didn't really know much about it other than the fact that we filled all their bottles. But I've heard so many stories from Eli about this is how you're supposed to do it, and this is what you charge, and this is just different strategies for doing business in the seltzer business. So I learned a lot from Eli, and I still do. I still talk to him regularly. And especially about his customers that he has. I'm always asking him questions about his customers because I'm just starting to take over his route, really.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. You have to. So the article, just for people who hadn't read it in the Times, was you let me come along when Eli was with you to kind of say goodbye to a number of his customers, and you were taking over these customers on your route, and So that was interesting to see that he was kind of like, it was a little touching to see some of these people who had been with him 30 years, and it was, he's kind of, hanging up the gloves and you're taking over. It was interesting to see a younger guy.
Yeah, and there were a lot of different responses to that. I mean, that wasn't the first time I went out with Eli. I went out with Eli on 2 other occasions. And, some customers were saying like, oh, Eli, I'm going to miss you, this and that. And others are saying, thank God, because how could he do this anymore? He's 84 years old. Like, he shouldn't be carrying these cases up these stairs. He's going to get hurt. So, but they all love Eli. Every single customer had such beautiful things to say about Eli. I mean, he was on they made a book for him. He's a legend in this business.
He was the subject of a children's book. Yeah.
Yep. Eli the Seltzer Man.
Yeah. Okay. All right, so you're in it for the long haul. Things are good, and you are you working today, or what do you think?
I am working today.
You deliver every day. Right?
I'm at the shop, just taking care of a lot of paperwork, but probably be going out on the route tomorrow and then Friday.
Yeah. And how can people order seltzer from you? Find out more about your company. It's the Brooklyn Seltzer Boys, and you have a website, right?
Sure. I mean, you could visit the website. It's www.brooklynseltzerboys.com, or you could just call the office.
Which is
649-0800, 718-649-00.
Say it again.
718-649-0800. Sorry.
Brooklyn Seltzer Boys, if you want to
order
your seltzer. Yeah.
Or brooklynseltzerboys.com. And then just ask for Alex because I have to speak with every single customer. That's one of the big things in this business is the relationship with the customers, and I have one with every single customer. Yeah. So that's the way it's supposed to be done. That's the way I like to do it.
I mean, are you screening them? What are you doing? You're just getting to know
Basically.
them? Really?
I kind of interview them because, we're not just going to take on anybody. You have to.
You got to check their credit score or something?
Yeah, I check the credit score.
Yeah, you're kidding.
No, I make sure that they're going to be a regular, serious customer, somebody who's going to take.
Are they worthy of the Gomberg product?
Are they worthy? Are they worthy? We have a wait list now. We have to screen people.
Do you? Okay, man. Well, thanks. Keep on delivering the bubbly, and thanks for coming on, Alex Gomberg. Yeah.
Thanks a lot. I appreciate it.
Okay.
Yeah, when you feel the bubbles in the back of your throat, you know you got good stuff. The good thing about seltzer is the fact that it has bite. When the bubbles are strong and when it goes down the back of your throat and it hurts your throat, that's what good seltzer is. Good seltzer should hurt. The filling machine is a Barnett and Foster filling machine. It was manufactured in London many years ago. It needs a lot of maintenance. Parts are worn, they need to be replaced. I cannibalize an old machine and just take parts off of that until there are no more, and if I need to, at times I'll have parts made. My family's been in the business for 59 years. My grandfather, my father, myself, and my brother-in-law Irv. And now, 4th generation, my son Alex. There's probably just a handful of seltzer bottlers left in the country. And when I talk to some people, they don't necessarily know what a seltzer bottle is. And I have to explain to them, remember the Three Stooges or the Marx Brothers? And that's the reference I have to use to get them to understand what I'm talking about here. All the bottles here are very old. This particular bottle was handmade in Czechoslovakia. It was hand-blown. Very thick bottom. The glass on the sides is about 1/4 inch thick, and it needs to be a heavy bottle because there is a lot of pressure in it. Brooklyn has always been a great place, still is, will continue to be, and everything old is new now. Retro is in. I would like to see more of these shops open up and more seltzer. It would be great if this business came back to what it was.